Well?
Really good.
Really good.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 gross facts about food.
Hey, Larry, this tastes like ice cream. Come on over here. Yeah. Give it a lick, Larry.
For this list, we're looking at the most disgusting facts about the things that you eat every day. Let us know in the comments if you'll be switching up your diet or braving these weird ingredients. Number 10. Cochineal bugs. The cochineal insect is a small bug endemic to the Americas. Underneath its waxy exterior, it is a vivid red due to the presence of carmic acid, which it uses as a defense mechanism.
Cochineal bugs are one of the very few insects that produce red carminic acid in their bodies. It's there to stop other insects from eating them, but this acid is also the source of E120, as found in the pink icing of many a fairy cake.
This acid can be extracted and diluted with other substances, creating a bright red dye, generally known as carmine or natural red 4.
Now watch this. We're going to add a few drops of water and watch what happens. In just seconds, it turns into a brilliant scarlet red dye.
This bug extract is harmless to humans and has long been a common additive to make foods redder.
For thousands of years, people have been using these bugs to dye everything from clothes to pottery. But it wasn't until more recently that they made their way into commercial foods.
However, most people don't like the idea of an insect as part of their Frappuccino, as Starbucks discovered in 2012 when people protested the use of carmine dye.
Company spokesman did tell us they started using cochineal extract to move away from some dyes and other artificial ingredients, that the extract is FDA approved, and that it would never do anything to harm its customers.
Starbucks ended up removing the dye for an alternative. Number 9. Poisoned honey. It's widely recommended that children under the age of 1 shouldn't consume honey at all because it can sometimes contain bacteria that is dangerous to a baby. The vast majority of honey is safe to eat, but because of the chance of a baby contracting botulism, the recommendation is important to follow.
And since C. botulinum is so common in our environment, researchers believe that bees pick it up on their way to the hive where they produce honey.
Botulism is also a dangerous disease for adults to contract and can even cause paralysis. But adult digestive systems are able to process the spores in the honey before they multiply enough to become a life-threatening illness.
Usually, the signs of paralysis start upwards. So the first symptom that we see in patients with botulism poisoning usually is the drooping of the eyelids, and then can spread downwards.
It's certainly better to err on the side of caution and keep honey and honey-containing products away from babies.
We want to be really careful about even things that might have honey, like a honey graham cracker or honey nut Cheerios, or even the little pacifiers that are dipped in honey.
Number 8. Shellac. You may know this substance better by the friendly nickname confectioner's glaze, which makes it sound like a delicious sugary coating for all kinds of tasty treats. But while shellac isn't harmful when used in food, it's another common additive made from bugs.
Tiny insects suck the sap from host trees and secrete an amber-coloured resinous pigment known as lac, which females use to create a network of tunnels so they can move around on the branches.
Specifically, shellac is a resin secreted by the lac bug, which is indigenous to India and Thailand and is also cultivated in China and Vietnam. You've almost certainly eaten shellac too if you've ever eaten common candies like jelly beans. Perhaps more disturbing than shellac's insectoid origins, however, is the other products it's also used in, which include nail and furniture polish. Those are substances that you definitely don't want to eat.
Shellac is a revolution in nail polish. It is what we like to call a hybrid polish. It goes on like a polish, but it has the wear and durability of a gel without damaging your own natural nail.
Number 7. Pink slime. You've probably seen the infamous pink slime circulating on the internet, but is this a real substance? And more importantly, have you ever eaten it?
It's said to be the entire chicken, eyes, guts, bones, ground up into something called mechanically separated poultry. Not us, says McDonald's, photo hoax, but pink goo won't go away.
The answer to both of those questions is likely yes. Pink slime, or quote, lean, finely textured beef, is commonly added to processed meats like ground beef and hamburgers. In fact, some ground beef might be more pink slime than fresh beef.
It's economic fraud. It's not fresh ground beef. It's a substitute. It's a cheap substitute being added in.
It's used so that meat production companies can make their beef go further by diluting fresh meat with the processed alternative. Ew.
This is a practice that is openly sort of admitted to being in at least 70% of ground beef products.
And in 2019, the pink slime was officially categorized as ground beef on its own in the US. It's safe to eat, but is it worth it? Number 6, Kopi Luwak. When most people drink coffee, they hope that the coffee hasn't already been consumed, digested, and excreted before going into their cup. Unfortunately, if you're a fan of the luxurious Kopi Luwak coffee, that won't be the case.
This bag costs at least $100.
All right,
now,
and we're gonna...
I've heard it was also from somewhere else.
Oh, we're going to talk about that after we all take a drink. Okay, y'all ready?
Though Kopi Luwak is internationally recognized as delicious, it's made from coffee cherries that have been eaten and pooped out by the Asian palm civet, a cat-like mammal that lives throughout Southeast Asia from India to Indonesia.
It comes out like that.
Yeah.
And that's the magic stuff.
Supposedly, this adds to the flavor, but does that matter when knowing how it's produced will turn your stomach? On the bright side, it's so expensive that there's no danger of drinking it by mistake.
Kopi Luwak, the rarest beverage in the world. Take a whiff. Go ahead.
Number 5, rennet. There's a reason why lots of cheeses aren't suitable for vegetarians or people with other dietary requirements. And it's because many use rennet in their production. Rennet is an enzyme commonly found in the stomach lining of calves used to separate curds and whey in milk, something you have to do to make certain cheeses.
The calf produces enzymes to help them digest their mother's milk.
Luckily, there are lots of vegetarian and vegan alternatives, such as extracts from figs and nettles. Though almost as gross is the rennet alternative that uses mold. Animal rennet and the cheeses that use it aren't going to do you any harm, but we won't judge you if knowing this changes the way you think about cheese. Number 4, shrimp poop. If you've ever prepared a meal or a recipe that uses shrimp, you've probably had to devein your ingredients. But what exactly is that vein? Well, actually, it isn't a vein, and it has nothing to do with blood. No, it's the shrimp's intestine, and it's full of exactly what you would expect an intestine to be full of: poop.
And what we're looking for there is that little dirt sack. That's got to come out, otherwise if you cook the prawn with that sack in there, it's crunchy, it's not very nice, and it ruins that sweet flavour.
It's impossible to tell exactly what's in the intestine since you don't know what kind of garbage that shrimp was eating when it was still alive. But if you have a weak stomach, you'll definitely want to pull out that vein.
Removing this will enhance the final result of the dish and ensure it is not grainy.
Thankfully, there's little risk in eating a shrimp that hasn't been deveined. It'll only change the taste somewhat.
Now you're ready for shrimp appetizers, shrimp stir fries, shrimp skewers, and you've saved some cash.
Number 3, castoreum.
There was one point you were talking to a bunch of kids, and you said that vanilla ice cream contains beaver.
A beaver anal gland, yes. Oh, come on, you telling me you don't like a little bit of beaver anal gland?
This is another case of a so-called luxury food item being one of the most disgusting things known to man. Castoreum is an extract that you can find in a specific beaver gland called a castor sac, which is used by the beaver to mark its territory. The problem? That gland is in the beaver's anus. Harvesting castoreum is difficult, time-consuming, and expensive, which is why you'll only find it in the most high-end luxury goods. Specifically, costly vanilla ice cream and some perfumes that contain a vanilla note.
Did you hear me? Hey, stop, hold it right there. You put that ice cream in your mouth, and you are in very, very, very big trouble. Don't you dare go anywhere beyond that.
Don't worry, though. Regular vanilla ice cream won't contain castoreum. If a product is friendly to your wallet, it probably didn't come from a beaver's butt. Number 2, dead wasps. If you've ever eaten a fig, chances are high that you might have also eaten the digested remains of a wasp. Yes, really.
Look at that. Inside, there are brown males and black females, each with a specific job.
That's because, as maligned as wasps are, they're highly important pollinators in the ecosystem and are the main pollinators of some of the figs that we cultivate and eat.
Within, the cavity is lined by both male and female flowers.
Each is little bigger than a pinhead. But some of the female ones have been parasitized.
Female fig wasps will climb inside figs to lay their eggs, but the catch is they need to be male figs or the wasp can't get back out. The wasps can't tell which figs are which, and often they'll die an unpleasant death inside.
But at least she's delivered the pollen, yeah? And hey, good news for us, an enzyme inside the fig called ficin breaks down her corpse into protein, so it just ingests the dead wasp and makes it part of the delicious ripened fruit for us to eat.
Thankfully, the fig is perfectly capable of digesting the wasp so that nothing remains, which is why you've never found one.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. What the FDA allows.
Next time you use that jar of spice, take a close look because it's possible you might find something like this.
Most people will have heard horror stories about what the U.S.'s Food and Drug Administration allows into the products that the American public consumes. And unfortunately, many of those stories are completely true.
When it comes to food safety, everyone has a responsibility. We cannot let our guard down.
There are quote-unquote acceptable levels of all kinds of dangerous and disgusting things, according to the FDA, including allowing hairs and insect fragments in peanut butter, allowing over a dozen maggots in a can of mushrooms, allowing traces of feces in widely consumed hot dogs, and insects in raisins, and even allowing tomato paste and canned pineapples to contain certain levels of mold. If you want to continue to eat food without feeling horrible, it's best you don't look into FDA food regulations any further.
The FDA says the best thing to do to ensure your safety is to wash and cook your foods thoroughly.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.